Welcome to Coach Bennett's podcast, where every run has a purpose, where kindness is hardcore, where this is about running, and this is not about running, where every starting line is a finish line in disguise, where rambling still gets you where you need to be, where pineapple will never ruin your pizza, and the sodas, adult and not adult kind, are always cold, and where there is room on the starting line for everybody. I'm Coach Bennett. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. Let's get started. Welcome to episode 115 of Coach Bennett's podcast. This one is entitled, Get Out of Your Own Way. Now, I don't know if you're like me. You're probably not like me. But if you are like me, when you hear any title that's even remotely close to something like Get Out of Your Own Way, you immediately go to Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac, which is a great song. Now, here's the bizarre thing. When I hear Get Out of Your Own Way, I think of Go Your Own Way, but guess what? I don't think of the song Go Your Own Way. I think of Don't Stop by Fleetwood Mac. I don't know how this works. That's just how it works. So I know there's a Fleetwood Mac song called Go Your Own Way. So when I hear Get Out of Your Own Way, I think of the title Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac, and then the song I hear in my head is Don't Stop by Fleetwood Mac. I don't know how it works. That's just the way it works, and I hope all of you appreciate that preamble, which has really nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but hopefully it's a casual aside that you appreciate and you enjoy and you tuck in your back pocket and say, hey, here's a little something that I know about Coach Bennett that maybe no one else knows other than the people that listen to this podcast or are friends with people that listen to this podcast, and then we're told by those friends about this part. So anyway, there's a good chance you're well, there's not a good chance. There's like no chance you're the only one that knows this story unless you're the first one to listen to this podcast, and then quickly thereafter you become just another person who knows the story. But anyway, back to episode 115, Get Out of Your Own Way. That's what we're talking about here, because I'll tell you what, as a coach, I can talk until I'm blue in the face about mileage. I can talk about progression. I can talk about making sure your easy runs are easy. I can make sure that I've covered strength training, core training, drills. I can talk about racing tactics. I can talk about the importance of mixing up and diversifying the type of training you're doing, good mindset, all of these things. But if you're someone that's prone to self-sabotage, well, then your training is going to be sabotaged. Your racing is going to be sabotaged. Your running is going to be sabotaged. Your progression is going to be sabotaged by you. And I just thought it would be, a really great opportunity right now to just talk about how we can screw up good stuff for ourselves better than anybody else. We can get in our way in ways that are more destructive than anyone else. And as far as I'm concerned as a coach, if we know how to get out of our own way, then that's getting rid of really a lot of the barriers between where we are and where we want to be, or what we are trying to do and what we are doing in service of what we are trying to do. So the goal here is very simply to help you get out of your own way. And this isn't just an athlete thing. This is a coaching thing. So if you're looking at this from a coaching perspective, yes, this is essential, because a lot of time coaches screw up stuff. It's that's part of the gig. Like, we're trying to help the athlete. At least we're supposedly trying to help the athlete. And in doing so, that means we're going to have to adjust. We're going to have to change. We're going to have to manipulate. We're going to have to experiment. And that means there's a certain element of freedom and confidence and Well, a lot of people don't do well with freedom. A lot of people don't do well with confidence. A lot of people don't do well with the fact that they can change an outcome. They think that everything is supposed to simply be a reproduction of what already has happened. As a coach, that I'd love to say that's rare, but it's not rare because a lot of coaches experience success and they think, well, the formula for success is set because I've experienced it. So if I just recreate that formula, I will also experience success. It's a lot like a chef. Here's the thing. A chef can have a recipe for how to make something at sea level. And guess what? Things are going to change when they get to elevation. When they try to recreate this recipe at 12,000 feet, well, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be different when you're trying to cook something in an oven as opposed to on top of an oven. And I would imagine every great chef would acknowledge that. It's not the same thing when it comes to coaches or athletes. Listen, you're not off the hook. Just because I was about to throw some coaches underneath the bus does not mean that you, my friend, are safe from being thrown under the bus. We all self-sabotage. So what I want to do here today is just go through fairly quickly, and I'll tell you why fairly quickly in a minute, but fairly quickly, some ways that we can get out of our own way. Now, why do I want to get through this fairly quickly? Well, because I have to pack for a cross-country trip. I still have to go for a run. Yeah, absolutely. I have to finish recording this podcast. I have to edit this podcast. All of this needs to be done in the next 1 hour and 35 minutes. Am I cutting it close? Yes. But was there a lot to do today? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say this. I made a decision where I could have come home, made food really quickly, or ordered something really quickly because, again, the family's traveling very early tomorrow morning. But we were dropping the dogs off, and by we, I mean me, was dropping the dogs off, and I was about 2 miles away from the best fried chicken in the United States. And for that matter, I think in the world, which is Real Lemin is the name of the place in Portland, Oregon, USA. So I texted real quick after I dropped the dogs off, Coach Tammy, Show Up Society, Coach Bennett the Greater, okay, my better half, my wife, and I said, hey, listen, I'm like less than 2 miles away from Real Lemin, and I will put a link to the place, don't worry, on the show notes. But I was like, I think if I get there right now, there's a chance the wait won't be too long. Now, here's the thing. If you get there early enough, it's probably a 45-minute wait for your fried chicken. They make it right there, okay? Now, if you get there after that little window of opportunity, there's a chance it's 75 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours. You know what? It doesn't matter. The chicken is so good. It's the best fried chicken I've ever had, and it's not even close. It's not like, well, second place there isn't a second place. In fact, I've kept second place and third place just open out of respect for first place for Real Lemin. But the point is, I decided I'm going to go pick up some chicken tonight because we've got a busy day tomorrow and we're not going to be able to have any of this for a couple of weeks because we're going to be in the East Coast doing lots of different things. So the point is, I'm kind of in a rush and I'm rambling, which kind of negates the whole purpose of me trying to move this along. So let's move this along. Okay, so episode 115, get out of your own way. Let me start with stop with the negative self-talk. Okay, you've probably heard me say this, and well, no, you haven't probably heard me say this. You have heard me say this. You've heard me say this over and over and over again. Guess what? You're going to hear me say this again because it just drives me crazy when I hear people either self-sabotage themselves with negative self-talk or celebrate a coach that's a jerk. And it's like, I go back to this conversation I had with an individual who's talking about how they're very critical with themselves and how they think that psychs them up or motivates them. And I said, well, okay, I'm not saying that being a jerk to yourself in some ways can't push you, can't drive you. But what if you were just a better teammate or a coach to yourself? What if you didn't yell at yourself? Maybe that is how you would perform better. And I will tell you this, unequivocally, being a complete ass to yourself, a jerk to yourself, being a terrible teammate to yourself, diminishing the effort that you're giving, tearing yourself down, all of this atrocious mental self-talk, it doesn't make you better. Having a coach be a jerk to you doesn't make you better. What makes you better is how you manipulate what the coach is saying to drive you. Listen, I'm a coach. I've coached pretty much every single level. I can tell you straight away, we don't need to be cruel to you to get you to do something great. We don't. That's a lazy way to coach. It's a sub-mediocre way to coach. It's a coach who doesn't know how to coach that resorts to cruelty. And since you should become your own best coach, because you can be your own best coach, if you're being cruel to yourself, you're just being a bad coach. You're just being lazy. You're just being weak. You're being sub-mediocre. Now, if the coaching is weak, if the coaching is sub-mediocre, well, I'll tell you what, the outcome isn't going to be as good as it should be. So with the negative self-talk, leave it behind. It's also, let me just throw this in here, easier. Yeah, it's easier to do, which is what the weak athlete will do. They will choose the easiest course, even when the harder course is what's going to make everything else easier. Because here's the thing, I'm not saying don't take the easy trail, when guess what? The smartest thing to do, the best thing to do, the greatest coaching thing to do is to take the easiest trail. What I'm saying is, when the easy thing to do makes everything else harder to do, that's the cowardly thing to do. And I'll tell you what, being a jerk to yourself is a cowardly thing to do that will not ever get you closer to running your best. It won't. It's just cheap-ass fuel. Believe it. And it's unable to be recycled. The good stuff, the positive stuff, yeah, that's got endurance. That's an efficient fuel, and that can be recycled. That's something you can use over and over and over again. So stop with the negative self-talk. Here's another thing to think about. Respect the run. Now, I think I've said this obviously a lot, but I think sometimes people confuse what I really mean by respect the run. So I'm just going to give you an example. Let's pretend that we're in Orlando, it's humid, it's hot, or Miami, I don't know, you can pick a place, it doesn't matter, but let's just say the weather conditions are not great, and it says on, let's say, the training plan, you have to do an 8K, which is 5 miles, all right, roughly 5 miles, just under 5 miles, and the goal is to do it as an easy run, which means recovery run pace, and if you've been paying attention to what you've been doing consistently, you've got a general range for what that pace should be, right? Okay. Now, if you respect the run and you realize, okay, what does that mean? It's not just a certain distance. It's not just a certain pace. It's not just a certain duration to cover that distance at a certain pace. It's taking into account so much more. It's pausing and thinking, what's the weather today? What's the temperature? What's the humidity? Is there wind? When, in fact, is it going to be most conducive during the day to do this run? Can I do this run when it's most conducive? If not, okay, is there a time when I can do it, when it's most conducive. Maybe not most conducive for the day, but most conducive for me. If the weather is hot, if it's humid, and the question is whether or not I can do a long run at a certain pace, well, if I respect the run, which means I respect the effort it takes to do the run, it means I respect the amount of fitness it takes to do this run. It means I respect the purpose of this run, which means I also respect what I need to do post-run to take advantage of this run. And also, by doing this run, will it affect what I need to do post-run? So if it's a hot and humid day, and today is a long run, okay, well, if I don't adjust the pace, if I don't adjust the distance, if I don't adjust the duration, will I need to recover far more than I'm supposed to because of that? Because I didn't respect the run. Because I said, guess what? The training plan says 10 miles at this pace, and I did not take into account the weather. I did not take into account the heat and the humidity. I didn't take into account the last couple of days at school or at work or at home. I didn't take into account the life that I'm living, which means I didn't respect the run. Because here's the thing. If you truly respect the run, you respect the runner. You respect the conditions the runner is running in. You respect the environment, the background, what's going to happen next. All of that you respect when you respect the run. It's not just saying, can I run 8 miles? Okay, maybe you can run 8 miles. But you're traveling and now you're not running at sea level, you're running at 12,000 feet. Or instead of running in Oregon, you're traveling to Miami. It's hot, it's humid. If you're going to respect the run, you're going to respect everything about the run, inclusive of, maybe most importantly, the runner. What's going on in that runner's life. So respect the run. Which leads me to something that I think is really important to bring up, which is like a Captain Obvious thing. All of this is Captain Obvious, but I feel like I have to bring this up. I ask this question a lot of times with athletes, why are you making it harder than it needs to be? Why are you doing that? I'll just give you an example. You need to run 20 minutes. All right, it's an easy run. It's a recovery run. It's 20 minutes, and you've got the entire day to do the run. You decide to do it at 3 p.m., the hottest part of the day, just off the part of the day where the sun is its strongest. Now, if the weather's cold, great idea. That's not who I'm talking to. You know that's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the athlete that decides to run on blacktop during the part of the day that's the hottest part of the day. That's just off the part of the day where the sun is at its strongest. And you don't need to run at this part of the day. You could have woken up early and run when it was cool. You could wait till the sun gets down and it's cooler, and you don't. Why are you making it harder? It's the same thing as what I was just talking about the negative self-talk. It only makes the run harder. What are you doing? From a coaching perspective, honestly, we just sit there and think, why are you making it harder than it needs to be? It's already hard enough. Why make it harder? So what I want you to do is look through your training, look through your life, and figure out ways where you're just choosing to make it harder than it needs to be. Here's another way of phrasing it. It could be easier than it is. Now listen, don't pull the, well, you gotta be hardcore and everything's gotta be tough and everything's gotta be difficult and everything's gotta be uphill and into the wind. No, that's just not true. I don't know which charlatan you're listening to on TikTok or on some social media that thinks that you always have to be grinding and grit and, clenched teeth and spitting through those clenched teeth. This is just so hard all the time. And if you're having fun, you're not working hard enough. Oh, stop it. None of these people have achieved very much. And listen, let me just put it to you this way. I ran pretty fast, I think, comparatively speaking. don't get me wrong. There were so many people that were faster than me. And as hard as I trained, there were so many people I was never going to be faster than. But I will tell you this, there's no one that was faster than me that believed any of those things. That every single thing has to be hard and every single run has to be a grind. Like, there was no one that was faster than me, better than me, that beat me, that believed those things. There were people that were slower than me, that were not as good as me, that consistently or always lost to me, that believed those things. So I'm just going to throw that in there, okay? So just believe it, know it, there you go. And that's not to diminish them. It's really just they were given really bad advice. They were given really bad coaching. I don't think there was anyone that came to that conclusion on their own of years and years and years of competing. I really think it was someone in their lives, whether it was a coach or a teammate, that got them to believe that. And it was wrong. It was not right. So this isn't a knock on them. In fact, if anything, it's a testament to them, saying they all were better than those results showed. So there were lots of people that should have run faster than me. There were so many people that either never beat me or rarely beat me that should have beaten me because they had the talent to do it. They just didn't have the coaching. So I had the luxury of a lot of great coaches, the privilege of a lot of great coaches, and a lot of these athletes did not, which leads me to stop talking trash about other people. It's not going to get you any faster. And this is what's super important. You don't talk trash about people that you're not scared of. So if you find yourself talking trash or, talking negative about people or diminishing what they're doing, there's a really good chance it's coming from a place of inadequacy. You are nervous. You don't believe maybe fully that you're better than them, which is why you talk trash about them. Now, I'm not saying don't be critical. You can be critical, and that's okay, as long as you have something beyond the criticism that aids the person you're being critical of in them becoming better or improving. That's what I consider criticism. It's positive criticism. It's constructive criticism. If you're couching your criticism in just pure, straight up negativity or trying to humiliate someone or diminish someone, you're just being a jerk, and that only brings you down. Okay? That only brings you down. Remember, in order to tear someone down, you need to be below them. So think about how you're talking about some of your competitors or just people in your life. Like, are you tearing them down with what you're saying? And if that's the case, then just remember you're beneath them, which is probably one of the reasons why you feel the need to tear them down, because you feel inadequate. You feel small. You feel weak. And I would imagine those are some of the same words you use to describe the people you're trying to tear down. You will not get any faster. You will not run any better. You will not have a greater run, a more joyous experience out there on the track, the trails, the roads, if you're trying to tear someone down. So stop doing it, okay? Another thing, stop equating failure to reach a goal with failure. Like, this is something that kind of drives me crazy, especially as a coach who for many, many, many years worked with athletes where the goals we set were the biggest goals we could set in the sport, which means the chances that we achieve these goals are very, very small. Like, that's just the reality of it. The bigger the goal, the harder it is to achieve it, because the bigger the goal, the less people that can achieve it. So if your goal is, I'm just going to use this as an example. When I was coaching high school teams, our goal in cross country for the last 5 years I was coaching cross country was to win the national championship, was to be the best cross country team in the United States, to have no team better than us at the end of the year. That's a ridiculous goal. Listen, it's a badass goal, but it's a ridiculous goal. In no way ever did I want the athletes that were going after this goal to equate our failure to reach this ridiculous goal as failure. So the last couple years I was coaching, we were 5th in the country, 1st in the country, 4th in the country, and 2nd in the country. None of those years were we a failure. Could you imagine sitting in front of a group of high school athletes and saying, hey, you just finished 4th in the United States. There's like 20,000 high schools in the country, I think. Like, you're the 4th best team in the country. You're a failure because your goal was to win. Now, if our goal was to be 5th, we were successful. But if our goal was to be 3rd, 2nd, or 1st, finishing 4th was a failure. BS on that. Not real, not true. That's garbage. Do not equate failure to reach your goal as failure. I always looked at it as if we can get to the starting line with an opportunity, the possibility, the chance of achieving our goals, that is in and of itself a success. Okay? So make sure you are not equating failure to reach a goal with failure. Okay? Sound good? Great. All right. I got 2 more things here because I've got things to do. You've got things to do, and I'm starting to ramble, and I'm excited about this topic. But, okay, deal with anger, deal with grief, deal with sadness, deal with frustration, deal with anxiety, deal with all the feelings, period. Don't ignore them. Don't pretend they're not there. Don't think that having these feelings are a sign of weakness. They are a sign of you working properly as a human being. I always tell people, like a broken heart is not proof that something's broken. A broken heart is proof that things are working. That pain means it's working. Because as a human, you should experience these things. You should experience grief and sadness and frustration. What you don't want to do is pretend that these feelings are not legitimate, authentic, or real. And I'll tell you what, pretending you're not feeling these things does not help you run better. From a coaching perspective, again, I always ask the athletes, how are you feeling today? How are you doing? And the reason why I asked that was because I wanted them to tell me not just when they were feeling good, great, or okay. Maybe more importantly, I wanted them to let me know when things were not okay, not great, not good, terrible, bad, when they were sad, when they were grieving, when they were upset, when they were raging. Because if I just want to go from a running-centric position, if I want you to run better, it's better that I know these things so I don't push you when I shouldn't push you. From a human perspective, we will have a better relationship if you feel comfortable with me knowing how you're really feeling. Because then you know the work I'm giving you to do is based on who you really are, not who you're pretending to be. Right? Now, if you just take this another step and realize you are supposed to be your own best coach, well, then don't lie to yourself. If you're about to go for a run, just ask yourself, how am I feeling? I'm really not doing well. Okay. Do we need to adjust? Maybe not. Maybe we don't. Maybe we do. And when we adjust, we're giving ourselves a better chance at running the run we're supposed to run, which, guess what, is the run we're supposed to run, which means it is the best run for us. Okay, last little thing I want to say here so you can get out of your own way is this. If you need help, ask for help. ask for help. It is not a sign of weakness. It is 100% straight up badass strength when you ask for help when you need it. Absolutely. And maybe you've got people in your life that you can ask for help. It could be a coach, could be a guidance counselor, could be a teacher, could be a family friend, could be a teammate. Did I already say teammate? Well, if I have not said teammate, well, teammate. And if I had said teammate, I'll say teammate twice. It could be a hotline, a phone call with a stranger where you get to just say stuff that you need to say. The key here is if you need help, ask for help. It is a sign of strength. And if you can consistently get help when you need help, you will run better. But not just run better, you'll live a better life. And that's the whole goal of this, right? I mean, we keep talking about starting lines and finish lines, right? And there is a starting line and a finish line associated with every run, but there is a starting line and a finish line associated with life. What we do between those two lines, well, we can make better, we can make worse, we can get out of our own way, we can get in our own way. Hopefully, this episode gets you out of your own way so you can run a glorious run from that starting line to that finish line. And I'll be cheering for you the entire way. So thank you for listening to episode 115. If you have people in your life that you believe would benefit from listening to this episode, and I know you've got people in your life that would benefit from listening to this episode, share it with them. Let them know it's out there. If you want to share it on social media, tag me. I'll celebrate with you. I think this is an important episode. As always, let me just say, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And I'll meet you on the next starting line. Thank you so much for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast today. And if you haven't already subscribed or set yourself as a follower to the podcast, I really hope you would. And make sure you check out the show notes, because in those show notes, you're going to find a link to Coach Bennett's newsletter and all the social media sites I'm on, like Instagram and Threads and Cameo and Blue Sky and nope, not on that one anymore. So all the ones I am on, you're going to find it in the show notes, so check that out as well. And as always, thank you again for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast. Until next time, you keep taking care of yourself and each other.